Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, Iglesia del Amor. Welcome to week 3 of our devotionals that hopefully you've been doing with us. The past 2 weeks, Guillermo has been doing these devotionals for the church, and he's been reading from John 15. And I wanted to continue reading from John 15 this week. One of the main takeaways from the last 2 weeks is this word abide, right? And that's kind of been the theme. How us as the branches, right? If God is the vine, we are the branches. The branches have one job. What's that one job? Is to abide in Him, in God. Abide, remain right there. There's a product that comes from that, which Guillermo mentioned, which is bearing much fruit. But our responsibility shouldn't be, what am I going to do to bear fruit? How am I going to do it? Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do? No. Our responsibility, as it says in John 15:5, is to remain in Him. Right. So I just wanted to share a continuation for this week of that. And I hope you would reflect on this as I'll reflect with you on this. So we're going to read John 15:5. John 15, verses 5, 6, and 7. And so I'll be reading. You can watch on the screen. You can read from your own Bible, however you want to do it. So it says, I am the vine, you are the branches. This is Jesus speaking, right? I'm the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. That was verses 5, 6, and 7. I want to take just a quick moment to reflect on a promise that we see in verse 7. So let's reread verse 7 again. It says, if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it'll be done for you. So I underline this part. I ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. If you're like me, you read that and you're thinking, I want in on this deal. How do I get it? How do I get this deal? Because I want 2 of those, please. Ask whatever I wish. I want that, right? And I'm sure you're the same way. If the Lord were to tell us, ask whatever you wish and it'll be done for you, we want that deal. But it doesn't just come freely. There's a condition that Jesus says. And so at the beginning of verse 7, it says, if, so we have this part right here, and this is what makes it the condition. If you remain in me. So if you abide in Jesus, if you abide in God as the branch, if you remain in the vine, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. So abiding in Christ really means that we are being pruned by God. And we read that in verse 2. So if you go up to verse 2, let's read verse 2 together. It says, he cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. So when you're pruning that branch, you're cutting off anything that might not be fruitful for that branch. You want that branch to be as perfect as it can be, and you want it to be as good as it can be so that it can bear as much fruit as possible. As we consistently remain in Christ, this means we will be shaped by Christ, and that includes my mindset, and that leads directly into my prayer life. If I am really and truly abiding in Christ, I'm not going to be praying that I win the lottery and become a millionaire. I'm not going to pray for that because that's of no consequence to my spiritual life. If I'm a millionaire, yay, happy. If I'm not a millionaire, so what? Right? When Christ is pruning us, when we are abiding in Christ, my prayers will reflect what Christ wants for me. Okay. And so if I'm abiding in my Christ, my prayers will not be reflections of my natural selfish desires. When I'm truly abiding in Christ and God is shaping me, he's pruning me, that means my prayers will also become aligned directly to Christ. John Piper says, and I really like this quote, he says, the key to praying with power is to become the kind of persons who do not use God for our ends, but are utterly devoted to being used for his ends. When we remain in Christ and he in us, our prayer lives will become fully focused on looking to glorify God. And in that light, we reread verse 7, right? So let's reread it. If you remain in me and my words remain in you. So we've got that condition. Whatever, ask whatever you wish, and it'll be done for you. So I invite you, wherever you are, at home or in the car, wherever you are, take this moment now to exercise that prayer. That's a promise that we can take to the bank. And we want to cash in on this promise. But in order to do so, the first part of verse 7 is clear. If you remain in me and my words remain in you. All right. So we have to be abiding in Christ for that prayer to be true. Right. So pray that God can continue to prune you, that he would continue to take away any sin from you, and he would continue to point out the things that you need to change, and some of that might hurt. But pray for that, and that he will take any thorns that are actively distracting you, that he would mold you into whatever it is that you need to be. So I invite you, as we reach the conclusion of this video, take a moment in private to pray this prayer. I'll be praying for La Iglesia del Amor, and I pray that we can be abiding in Christ so that our prayer lives can reflect what Christ wants for us, so that when we ask for it, it will be done for us. God bless y'all.